ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमो पंकजनाभाय नमो पंकजमालिने नमो पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यम् ईश्वरं। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone to our program organized by Mohit Prabhu, Vrishank Prabhu, Rupali Mataji and all the team. I also want to thank Rasparan Prabhu. I can see he is also present. I want to thank all of you for coming, and today I've been given the topic, the secrets of happiness. So I will speak for a few minutes and then maybe we can have some discussions. So is it possible for the participants to be visible? Can they have their video on, or is it too much to ask? I don't know. Because I feel I'm giving a lecture to some light, unknown face. Yeah, I can see Rasparan Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. So, well, I don't want to force anyone. It's just a request. And if it's not possible, I can understand a lot of challenges. So, thank you. So today, the topic is secrets of happiness. Now, this is a very vast subject. Happiness is a subject which has fascinated human beings since millennium. Every generation, people have written so many books, so many YouTube videos. But today, I've decided to keep it a little informal because there is no point giving a structured, systematic presentation on happiness, because ultimately happiness is an enigma. Means a mystery. Happiness is not as simple as it appears. So to understand happiness better, I'll just take 2 verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and then maybe all of you can give comments or you can ask questions, and then we can churn it more. Okay. So this is a chapter called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, 5th chapter of the Gita. Text number 21. Krishna says how we can all experience happiness. What is the foundation or what is the principle? Please listen to this carefully and then meditate on this. So here Krishna is saying, Bhayasparshesh asaktatma vindat atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. So Krishna is saying, if you want to be really happy, what you have to do? Please listen to this very, very carefully. This is like a golden mantra. If you can understand these two shlokas, which we are going to discuss today, 5.21 and 5.22, you will be unlocking the secret treasure house of happiness. So in this 21st verse, Krishna is saying, Bhaya sparsha asaktatma. Bhaya means bahar, outside of us. Sparsha means touch. Bhaya sparsha. So whatever is outside of us, and we try to touch it, either through our eyes, ears, hand, through tongue, through nose, right? We touch, we contact objects outside of us. All of us do that, right? Right now, for example, your eyes, you are seeing. With your ears, you are hearing so many people are unmuted, so you can hear their sound. So, and if there is when you're walking on the road, if you see somebody is cooking jalebis, I request everyone to unmute because there is some difficulty. Yeah, please mute. Don't unmute. Please mute. Yeah. So Krishna is saying, Bhaya sparsha. We always contact objects outside of ourselves, right? For example, you're walking on the road, and if on the roadside somebody is cooking hot jalebis, so that fragrance of that jalebi enters your nostril. And even though you have not seen that jalebi, you can feel that jalebi is there, right? What has happened? Bhaya sparsha, outside, your nose has touched, that fragrance has touched, your sense of smell has touched that jalebi. So Krishna says, if you really want to be happy, Bhaya sparsha asaktatma. Asaktatma means not attached. Please don't be attached to Bhaya sparsha, what is outside of us. Don't be attached to touching them through our senses. Then you may say, then what will give me happiness? So next line Krishna says, Bhaya sparsha asaktatma vindat atmani yat sukham. Vindati means enjoy. What should a person enjoy? Atmani yat sukham. Sukha, real happiness will come from Atmani, from self. From within the self, we will experience real happiness. Outside of us, contacting the sense objects with our senses will not give us happiness. This is Krishna's verdict. You may say, oh, there are people who engage in self-pleasure. Is that happiness? If somebody engages in self-pleasure, somebody is alone and engages in self-pleasure, is that happiness? No. Krishna says, what does it mean that you enjoy in yourself? It means, the third line Krishna says, Bhaya sparsha asaktatma vindat atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma. Very important. Brahma yoga. Brahma yoga means connected to Brahman. Connected to Brahman means what? Brahman means something that never dies, something that is eternal. So Krishna says in the Gita that if you really want to be happy, enjoy within the self, and within the self means within yourself there is something that does not die. So Brahma yoga, so connect with that Brahma and yuktatma. You please allow yourself to be connected to that undying, eternal, imperishable reality which is within you. Then what will happen? Then sukham akshayam ashnute. Then the sukha you will experience will be akshayam. Akshayam means that which is unlimited. Unlimited happiness, ashnute. You will enjoy unlimited happiness. This is Krishna's certificate. So to summarize, in this shloka, Krishna is saying that if you really want to be happy, don't be attached to contacting the senses with the sense objects. You may do something. See, we have to contact, we need prasad, sometimes we have to enjoy. That is okay. But don't be attached to it. That is simply pleasure. When our senses contact sense objects and what we experience, that is called pleasure. And pleasure is fleeting. Pleasure is temporary. But when we go within and connect to that which is undying within ourselves, that happiness is permanent. And that taste will keep haunting you for the rest of your life if you experience it even once. I'll give two examples I'll give. One, some years ago when the lockdown was not there, I used to go to this huge banyan tree near our temple. It is supposed to be 300 years old or something. So I used to sit under that tree and chant and meditate and pray. And one day, I suddenly felt, now just sitting under the tree and looking at the tree, embracing that tree sometimes. And then I realized that this tree has been there for 300 years. Means when the third battle of Panipat was fought, when the Marathas, Peshwas were ruling, that time this banyan tree was there. So this banyan tree seemed eternal. And as I was sitting, I felt very peaceful. And at that moment, I got the realization that there is something within me which also is like this banyan tree, which has been there for long, long, long time. And that experience I had of peace, of feeling very safe, of a sense of belonging, of being peaceful, of being loved, feeling a sense of dependency with the universe. It was such a soothing feeling. I think all of us experience that. Why people go on a mountain trek, why they go to oceans, why they go on nature walk, why they go to forest? Because these things appear to be existing forever, eternal. They seem to be timeless. And when we come in contact with these aspects of nature, there is something within us also which is timeless, which doesn't die. So that timeless aspect of ourselves contacts the timeless aspect which is there here. And that union makes us feel very happy. And that is what Krishna is talking about, going within. So Brahma, because that Brahma inside, that soul never dies. This is one example. When you sit under a tree and you feel you are connected to a larger scheme of things. And the second is, many devotees have given stories. First time they danced in Kirtan, or somebody came to ISKCON temple, or somebody heard some class, somebody took darshan of the deities. So the experience they had was very deep. And this experience they will never forget for the rest of their life. It will keep haunting them because that experience was at the level of the soul. So Krishna says, if you want to experience sustained happiness, bhaya sparsha asaktatma, become free from this attachment to things outside of you and get attached to something which is within you, which doesn't die. Whatever happens in the external world, there is something within you which will never perish. You may say, no, Prabhuji, but what is wrong? I will only be attached to things outside of me. I feel like eating a nice pizza, I will eat pizza. That is happiness for me. Then I will watch a good movie. Then I will, smell something fragrant. What is wrong in that? Krishna said there is nothing wrong in the sense, we all have to do basic things. We all need pleasure. That is okay. But if you get attached to that, what will happen, Krishna reveals in the next shloka, which is 5.22, which is one of the most powerful verses which describes what happens when we enjoy in this world. Krishna speaks about a law. There is a law called the law of gravity. All of you are aware of this law. When you throw an apple, it comes down because there is a law of gravity. Similarly, there is one law in nature, the law of pleasure. What is that law? Krishna reveals in this text number 5.22. But before we go into that verse, I want to repeat what we discussed in 5.21. In the previous verse, Krishna said, Bhaya sparsha asaktatma. You want real happiness? Don't be attached to objects outside of you. Rather, you go within and connect to something that doesn't die. And now in 22 he says, Yai samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nate shuramate buddha. Krishna says, Yai samsparshaja bhoga. If you are attached to bhoga, bhoga means enjoyment. If we are attached to enjoyment based on samsparshaja, based on the senses contacting the sense objects, then we will certainly get what? Yahi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Evate means surely, certainly, 100% sure, you will get dukkha. Why? Why we will get dukkha when we enjoy? Simple. Adyantavanta kaunteya, because these pleasures have adi and anta. All the pleasures we experience in this world as a beginning, adi, and it has an anta, it ends. So anything that has a beginning and an end will always give dukkha. That is a law. You cannot contest it. You will take any happiness or any pleasure of this world which has a beginning and an end. For the experiences we get to the body is painful because the body has a beginning and an end. Nateshu ramate buddha. Buddha means buddhiman, intelligent person, Krishna says, will not try to enjoy the pleasures that have beginning and that have an end. Rather, he looks for happiness, Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. He looks for happiness which is within. Our biggest problem, the biggest secret of happiness is this, that there is no happiness that this world can give. Once we understand this, we have unlocked the secret treasure house of happiness. This world will not give happiness. What will this world give? This world will give challenges. Our problem is we are miserable because we expect this world to give me happiness. Sorry, this world will give challenges. For example, right now, some of you may have a financial challenge. So if you solve your financial challenge, then the world will give you a relationship challenge. Or sometimes there will be health challenge, right? Some challenge or the other will always be there. Only a foolish person will think there will be no challenge in my life. And to the extent we think, see, we may say, no, Prabhuji, I know there is a lot of challenges. Deep within, we are scripted. We have this self-talk. Self-talk is automatic. We don't even know that we are talking to ourselves. Our self-talk is, this world should give me happiness. I have birthright. Mera janma siddha adhikar hai. I want to be happy. The world owes me happiness. We are deeply scripted. This is self-talk is going on without our realizing. Just like your heart is beating, right? Heartbeat is going on without you're not consciously aware. Similarly, subconsciously, your mind is constantly saying, I have to be happy. Oh, this person has to give me happiness. That person has to give me happiness. Everything has to be arranged in such a way. Sorry, sir. Sorry, madam. This world is designed to give you only challenges. This world is not made to give you happiness. So if you're expecting happiness from this world, you will always be miserable. So next time when you are unhappy, see, when I say happiness here, I'm referring to a feeling that we don't want. Unhappy means a feeling that we don't want. Happiness means a good feeling. I'm right now talking about defining happiness as a desirable feeling. So if next time you're feeling uncomfortable and you're sad, just ask yourself, is it because of the situation or is it because of the story that you're telling yourself in your head? Most of us, we are unhappy because we have this inside thought that I should be happy, this world should give me happiness. No, this world will not give us happiness. If you understand this, then we will go within to seek happiness. Otherwise, we will keep trying to grab happiness. Like, children in our fire camp, we have a, in a picnic in the night, they sometimes light fire and they surround the fire and they sing songs and all of that. So I remember with my family when we had gone many years ago, when we were small, my youngest brother was very small. He was 4 years younger to me. I still remember when this fire was coming, everybody was singing and enjoying. My youngest brother, he was trying to grab the smoke. So, the smoke is going, he was trying to grab it and हाथ में आ रहा है क्या smoke. So what is the probability of grabbing smoke? A child, will he be able to catch smoke? No. Similarly, our attempt to grab happiness from this world, I'll get happiness from there, I will get happiness from here. That trying to grab and trying to get happiness is like a child trying to catch smoke. It is not within our reach. This world will never give us. What this world will give you is stimulation. It will give you some, stimulant, a kick. Like when you take liquor, you get a kick. When you take drugs, a person gets, is sensations. Stimulation and sensation is different from absorption in spiritual practices. So real happiness is an absorption in connecting to the Lord, which is an exercise that is to go within. But when we stimulate our senses by, something exciting, it is only giving us a temporary titillation, and according to Gita, that will eventually lead to dukkha, because that has a beginning and an end. For example, in an electronic screen, all of you have a smartphone, right? So when you see in this smartphone, you see some nice movies, videos, music. It is like, it is giving you temporary relief, a titillation, which makes you forget all your misery for some time. But it doesn't give happiness. It is like, it is like somebody tickling you. Has somebody ever done tickling? What happens? Like if you are sad and somebody tickles you, what happens? You start laughing. So now, is that laughter equal to happiness? Is that person very happy because of which he is laughing? He is not laughing because he is happy. Sorry, he's not laughing because he's happy. He's laughing because he's been tickled. So when we watch things on our mobile smartphone and we think we are happy and we are thrilled, that is, thrilled is simply like laughing. It is like tickling. Tickling is happening within us. So the smartphone is a tickling machine. It is not giving you happiness. The technology, in fact, we could call modern technology as technology. It is tickling technology. It is only tickling us. It is giving you some temporary relief. So this is not happiness. Like recently, I heard a story of a young boy who inherited millions of dollars from his father who died unexpectedly. So he was a heir to a big empire with millions of dollars. But because he's addicted to thrill experiences, stimulation, sensation, he wasted all that. In 17 months, he lost all that dollars, millions of dollars, by taking drugs. So because drugs give you a kick, a stimulation. So the point is, Bhaya-sparsha asaktatma, 5.21, Krishna is saying, there can be no happiness that can be obtained by outside things. They can only titillate you. They can only give you pleasure. Now some people say, Acha, I know that outside things cannot give me happiness. So what I will do, I will try to satisfy my mind. My mind, I want to do meditation. And just my mind has to be peaceful. Well. Happiness is also not dependent on your mind, because if you try to satisfy your mind, you'll have the same result. Because mind is extremely mischievous. So many people are into depression, suicidal. 21st century, every century has 10 biggest fears. In 21st century, there are 2 fears which are unique to this century. Other centuries, other ages did not have those fears. First is fear of terrorists, which is there this century. The second is fear of rejection. One of the biggest fears in modern times is people are afraid that they'll be rejected. And what is this fear of rejection? It's a matter of the mind. So mind, amazing phenomenon the mind is. You may say, okay, I will not enjoy with sense objects. I will try to make my mind happy. Whatever my mind wants, I will do. Arey Baba, mind is more difficult. Mind is expert in magnifying problems, imagining problems that don't exist at all. Like one Mataji was saying, I'm in so much depression, so much depression. So our preacher, our Prabhuji, Radha Gopinath Prabhu told her, oh, Mataji, sorry, your husband must be very bad, no? No, my husband is very good. And then he was thinking, what is the problem this lady is having? So then said, oh, your in-laws, na? Everywhere in-laws are like that. So immediately the lady said, no, my in-laws are very nice. Oh, then maybe your daughter-in-law is harassing you. No, but daughter-in-law is better than my daughter. Acha, there could be a problem. Nahi hai. Then why she is saying, I am so miserable, Prabhuji, I am so miserable. So then Prabhuji said, oh, maybe your health is bad. No, my health is top class. No BP, no sugar, no heart problem. Arey wah. What is the problem? Oh, financial debts must be there. No financial problem. Everything is sorted. Oh, your children must be nalayak. Nowadays children are so disobedient. No, my children are like Lord Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna. So nice children I have. So then Radha Gopinath said, then what the hell is your problem? Why are you saying my life is so miserable? So this lady said, because, my husband and we are always fighting because we are not able to decide where we should settle down. We should settle down in Europe, Australia, or US. We are confused where we should settle down. So many of you who are hearing this example, you may be laughing at this. ये कोई problem है क्या? अरे इतना सारा problem से बच गए वो लोग. So there are so many people who have financial problem, health problem, this problem. And here they are none of these problems. But mind is expert. So mind will never keep us happy. One lady went to a doctor and said, Doctor, I have a frog in the stomach. Oh, please remove this frog. Doctor said, कुछ frog वॉग नहीं है. So she got so upset with the doctor, she went to another doctor. One doctor said, okay, we'll do some tests. And by the tests, he showed her that there is no frog inside your stomach. She said, no, you are all useless, doctor. There is frog, I know. I'm convinced. So finally, she went to the 10th, some doctor. The doctor was an intelligent man. He said, Mataji, I've done the test. There is frog. You lie down on the bed. So then he made some small incision as if he was doing surgery. And then he had put her in anesthesia. And just little bit he did for just. And then I told the nurse, you go to that pond and get one frog. So she brought one frog and he kept the frog there. And then the lady he said, the surgery is over, Mataji. See, the frog is here. We removed the frog from your stomach. She said, oh, see, I knew it. I was right, no? Doctor said, yes, you are right. But the doctor thought now this lady will be peaceful because at last she was harassing for so long. She was saying there is frog. So he did this. He thought now the lady will be happy. She will go away. But next week she came again. She said, Doctor, there are 5 frogs in my stomach. Please remove them. But doctor said, last week we removed the frog. How can there be 5 frogs now? So the lady said, no, that frog, it gave birth to babies. And you removed the frog, but the babies are now growing up. So the point is, as long as the mind is convinced, nothing can be done. So bias sparsha atma means we should not be attached to anything outside of us, and mind is also outside of us. But then what is it that can give us happiness? So this world cannot give happiness. So let us rise beyond happiness. Let us have some purpose. If you have a purpose, we may not be happy. Like somebody may be very determined to join the Indian Army, for example. He has a purpose. And, he may even die. He may meet with an accident. He may die a young man. But that purpose is so nourishing that he doesn't care whether he is happy or not happy. Like when the mother is taking care of the baby. You think mother is always happy? Children can make the life of the parent very miserable. But the mother is having a higher sense of purpose. She is living in a platform higher than the mind. If you ask your mind, oh, my dear mind, what should I be doing now? Mind will say, whatever you are doing now, don't do that. Mind will never cooperate. You can never ask the mind, oh, mind, what do you want? We can never flatter and never take care of our mind. We need something higher than the mind. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita tells us that let us have a choice. Let us make a choice of service. Let us focus on service. And let us have a purpose to serve, to give ourselves to a higher cause, to a cause higher than ourselves. It could be It could be a larger community, it could be a country, and ideally it could be God, because God encompasses, Krishna encompasses everything and everyone. The Bhagavad Gita 2.64 and 3.34 explains very beautifully how we all suffer because of two things. All the unhappiness we experience is because of raga and dvesha. Raga means attachment. Whenever the mind gets some good experience, immediately we get attached to that experience, and that is called raga. And whenever mind gets some unpleasant experience, mind becomes angry. That is called dvesha. So from morning to night, from Monday to Sunday, from January to December, from birth to death, we are going through the journey of raga, dvesha. And this is keeping us bound. This keeps us completely suffering condition. So the solution is, Bhagavad Gita explains in 14.23, that we should rise from raga and dvesha by assuming the position of sakshi or drishta or observer. We observe our emotions, just like you may see your child running, you may see your child jumping, laughing, sitting, talking, because the child is different from you. Similarly, we need to be drishta. We need to observe our emotions. Oh, this is what is happening. This is what is happening. So when we observe, when we separate ourselves from the emotions that we experience, we become observer. But 2 verses later, in 14.26, Krishna says, from observer, we should now move to be a server. Mam cho avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Focus on unalloyed devotional service to me, Krishna says. Then you will transcend all the bindings and problems that the mind is giving us. Therefore, the proposal given by Lord Krishna is that separate yourself from your emotions, but assume the position of a servant, serving God, serving a cause higher than ourselves, and in the mood of that service, having a purpose. And in that purpose, when we serve, we transcend the mind. Then it doesn't matter whether we are happy or not happy. We experience a higher level of contentment and satisfaction. And that purpose, if it is not strong, then what will happen is the mind will keep troubling us. But if your purpose is strong, then the mind cannot do anything to you. Like in a highway, if you take a truck, if a truck is going full speed and a donkey comes in front, what will happen? The donkey will get hit. Nothing will happen to the truck. So our intention should be like a truck. Our purpose should be like a truck. And raga, dvesha, the mind's tantrums is like a donkey. That unhappiness, suffering will be thrown away when the truck of intention is marching ahead, when the truck of our purpose is going ahead. But many of us, our purpose is like, going in a bicycle, and the desires are like a buffalo. So if in the road there is a buffalo and your bicycle, you're going on a bicycle, your bicycle will hit that buffalo and you will fall off the bicycle, right? So we abandon our purpose because the desires are so strong, because our purpose is not strong. So today we need to understand that if we have a high sense of purpose, if we have a sense of sacrifice, wanting to do some service which is higher than my own mind, then there is a very good chance that we will be able to transcend the mind's suffering. So this is the simple presentation I wanted to make about Bhaya Sparsha Asaktatma. Krishna is saying, let us not look for happiness outside of ourselves. Let us look for happiness inside, which basically means not seeking gratification through electronic gadgets. But we may engage in those pleasures. We all need that. That's not prohibited. But we need to seek something higher than the titillation. We don't want to be having modern technology like a technology. We don't want it to be a tickling machine. And we discussed how our desire for happiness through external objects is like trying to grab smoke. And if we try to satisfy the mind, then that is also very suicidal, because the mind is expert in magnifying problems which don't exist. Like I told the story of this lady who had no problem, but still she had problems that she's not able to settle down in Europe. So therefore, we need to have a higher sense of living, which is a purpose. And if we have a good, deep purpose, like a mother has to take care of a child, then it doesn't matter whether we are happy or not happy. And then in the conclusion, I discussed about raga and dvesha, attachment and anger, which is the result of the mind. And if we can transcend all of that by becoming an observer, according to Gita, by separating ourselves from our emotions, and then from an observer, we move the position of a server, which means we have a strong purpose, and like a truck that speeds in a highway and it doesn't care if a donkey comes in front of it. Similarly, our purpose will be so strong that it doesn't matter what the mind tells us. So this was a small presentation. Now we can have some questions or comments. Also, I would like to say that, a purpose will actually give us contentment which is higher than so-called happiness. Like simple example, like right now I can say Rasparan Prabhu and Gopi Manjari Mataji. Today is Gopi Manjari Mataji's parents' 50th wedding anniversary, right? And your parents' name is Jagadananda Prabhu and Kalavati Gopi Mataji. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So Prabhuji, I remember having long talks with Prabhuji. He was working in Dena Bank. Of course, it is now merged with, I think, Bank of Baroda. So Prabhuji, as such an amazing person, I've not spoken to Mataji so much, but imagine they have spent 50 years together, how much dedication and how much respect they must be having for each other, how much tolerance, how much sacrifice they must have made for each other. So if you ask them in these 50 years, I mean, they must have seen all the ups and downs of life, and still they are so bound together with higher principles of service to their family and all their children, all their three children, your parents have total. Yeah, Nimai Sundar, you and Ras Manjari Mataji, right? Mataji, 3 of you. So, such amazing children who are so responsible and such amazing devotees. So when I was remembering them today morning, I know during Mangalarti, we were offering prayers for them, their 50th wedding anniversary, and I was thinking that this is actually the goal which can keep a person higher than the so-called happiness of this world. Dedication to a family which is spiritual, where the cause is spiritual, is much, much more fulfilling than seeking some simple pleasures from bodily sense gratification. So on this very auspicious day, I want to wish them all the best. And I also request them, you can please convey my message and my prayer that I request them to pray for me and pray for all of us. I need their blessings also, that I can also serve for 50 plus years in the order I have chosen.
Yes,
so, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rasparan Prabhu. Thank you, Gopi Manjari Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to say something, Rasparan Prabhu, before we take questions? There are some questions here.
No, I think, Prabhu, it's amazing, and I really, it resonated so much with me, the analogy that you gave of truck and a cycle. It was really fantastic. So I think let's look forward from the audience as to what question come up. But I think in such a short span, I think very, very nice discussion that you have now driven into. So let's look forward for it.
Yeah. So, thank you, Rasparan. I've got a good question here. Jenish. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for wonderful discourse on happiness. My question is, if we understand that movies, gadgets, etc. don't give lasting happiness, then why are we glued on to the same? It's almost addictive. Well. This question is like, we can have a long discussion on this. So you want to know why we are addicted to smartphones and gadgets and electronic screen? Well, you'll find a lot of answers on the internet on this. It is because it carries dopamine. Dopamine is it's a hormone which gives you that kick feeling. Okay. But there is something deeper, something very, very deep, which is making us addicted to smartphone, because that electronic screen, when it releases this hormone, dopamine, it pulls the mind, it attracts the mind. And why are we addicted? Why are we focused completely on it? There is a reason for that. For that, you have to give me a few minutes to explain. This is very, very subtle. See, what has happened now, we are living in 21st century. Now, 21st century, the biggest problem is we are living in an age of information overload. Do you know what I mean by this? There is an information overload. So much information we have been bombarded with. Bombarded. Like 1986, if you compare 1986 to 2011, how many years have passed? 35 years. Neuroscientists have proved through studies that the human brain in the last 35 years has changed. Do you know that? How? Today, human brain, in one day, an average human being takes in 5 times more information than what it took in 1986. Do you know what this means? This means you are reading every day 174 newspapers. That is the amount of information you are taking inside. Please understand, this is serious problem. Like even recreation, when you are checking WhatsApp, Facebook, you're sending some messages and you are just relaxing, so-called. Believe it or not, you are taking in that few minutes, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, you are on Facebook or WhatsApp. You are taking in 34 GB of data, 34 gigabytes, which is a huge amount. Huge. When you're relaxing, I mean, we don't even know how to relax. Actually, when we relax, the mind becomes refreshed. But because we have not learned how to relax, one of the things, biggest problem is we don't allow our mind to wander and relax. Because of that, we get addicted to smartphone. We get addicted to electronic gadgets. Something, this is shocking. If I tell you this statistic, we all have, when I got the computer first time, many years ago, somebody told me my laptop, it has 2 GB. It has a space, you can have data over 2 GB. I was like, wow, 2 GB was considered so much. Today, people have 1000 GB on their computer. It's very easy. But 1 billion GB is equal to 1 exabyte. 1 billion gigabytes is equal to 1 exabyte. And all the words that mankind has spoken in history till now, everything that mankind has ever spoken, all that comes to actually 3 exabytes. Okay. Now listen to this. In the last 35 years, the kind of information that human beings have created through the electronic gadgets, that is 340 exabytes. You know what we're talking about? We are talking about madness. We're talking about so much information. This is an information that I'm giving you. So much information. But the problem with all this is, it is making our head stuck. And the mind is there's a fog. So because of this, what is happening, subtle level, like for example, YouTube, for example, every 1 hour, YouTube is uploading 6,000. It is uploading 6,000 hours of videos. 1 hour means 6. So if you watch 1 hour video, then 5,999 hours is added. So much. There are more YouTube videos than stars in the sky. And if you watch if YouTube stops uploading and if you have to watch all the YouTube videos, it will take you some 8,000 years, non-stop watching. So the point I'm trying to say is so much information. What is happening? The result of all this, why I'm saying all this is because all this we don't want to accept. So what we do, we think we are very smart. So what we start doing, we start multitasking. We think we are very smart. I will multitask. I will do 2-3 things at the same time. This is a modern disease, multitasking. And multitasking is the biggest myth. There is nothing called multitasking. Multitasking basically means you're jumping from one task to another at a very rapid speed. So that causes a lot of stress. Mind gets clogged. It causes decision fatigue. It's like in 2 hours you get completely exhausted. That is why nowadays people are having more decision fatigue. Because for everything, any decision you take, whether I should write now, okay, I took a green pen. Should I take green or red? So that also is a decision. Anything you take, decide where I should invest my money. Any decision you take, it depletes glucose from your brain. There is just like a car has fuel, the brain also has fuel. So all this gets depleted. So we need to rejuvenate. We need to keep stuffing it. Because that is what, I don't know if you've experienced this, sometimes you feel clogged, you feel like stressed. So therefore, the best thing to do is every 2 hours, you need to take a break, relax. Earlier, our ancestors, our older generation, for them, relaxation is very normal. Nowadays, relaxation is a bad word. People don't think that they should, relax. So because they don't relax, they want to be focused, and they try to do too many things. Then they start focusing on electronic gadget because they need basically the mind needs rest. So if you learn to relax in nature, if you learn to see the dogs on the street, if you just sit with your own thoughts, relax, then you know what will happen? You will feel refreshed and your mind will be charged up. Right now, you are afraid of being alone with your thoughts. And that is why you prefer the electronic screen, the gadget, because that stimulates. These stimulants are extremely powerful. In fact, Daniel Levitt, when he wrote a book called Organized Mind, he gives an interesting study. 10-year-old children to 70-year-old people were put in a room. They were given 2 choices. You spend 2 hours just with yourself and nature and books and with your own thoughts alone. That is one option. The second option is you will get a mild electric shock. And majority of the people, 90% of them preferred mild electric shock. Because we are living in a time when stimulation is given a lot of importance. I have to be happy. I have to be stimulated. I have to be excited. I have to be jumping. So this is the mood which people have, and electronic gadgets are always encouraging you to have that. So therefore, this is the reason why we are kind of glued onto it. So there are 2 reasons. One is because the gadget itself is dopamine, and secondly, we are glued because we have not learned to relax. Just learn to relax and be in the nature. Just spend time with your own thoughts. Every 2 hours, take a 5-minute break where you just simply do some breathing. And then you see this phone cannot control you. Right now, you are not using the phone is using you. But once you start spending time with yourself and you have control over your own thoughts and clarity, then you will be using the phone. In the sense, you will know when to watch what, you will know which movie to watch, what not to watch. So that sense of control, don't let it go. And you're letting it go because you're not relaxing enough. You are not allowing your mind to wander enough. See, mind wandering is healthy. Wandering mind is different from distracted mind. Distracted mind is when you are lost. Wandering mind is when you consciously relax. Because when you consciously relax, I've seen that a lot of non-linear thinking happens. A lot of different ideas get joined. There is a juxtaposition of different ideas. The problem that I couldn't solve, I don't know if you've experienced, sometimes you're trying to solve a problem, you don't get solution, you drop it, and then you're doing something else, and then you're washing your clothes in the laundry, and suddenly the solution comes. Because you're relaxing, your mind is wandered. So mind wandering is not bad. Unfortunately, we keep focused so much that in the end, our mind is hijacked. So there is a focused mind without balance of relaxed mind will lead to hijacked mind or aimless mind. So therefore, we need to consciously spend time relaxing. You can watch the trees outside your house, or you can watch even the dogs. You can, the rainy season will start. You can feel the rain on your body. You can basically experience, you can do breathing. You can actually take darshan of the deities. You can listen to the holy name. Be in the real world. So if you do that, then these gadgets will not trap you. I hope I have answered your question, Janish. Hare Krishna. How to control the happiness? My God. Oh, this is a... Okay, how to control happiness? And there's another question. It's changing time due to social media exposure. It is possible to keep your child grounded, be detached from material world, and turn to spirituality and be a better person instead of taking up spirituality in a later age. Okay, so now I can see two questions there. One is how to control happiness and how to keep your child grounded. Okay. How to control happiness? Well, I don't know what you mean by that question, so I will not take it right now. We will take the question on keeping a child grounded, to be detached from material world and turn to spirituality and be a better person instead of taking up spirituality at a later age. Well, children, I think the best thing we need to do with children is we need to give them good experiences, happy experiences. And children learn. See, don't be worried if your child doesn't listen to you. Be worried that your child is observing you. Children, they may not obey you, but they observe very well. So if you are practicing spiritual life nicely, and if you are having good values and good principles in life, then your child will learn from that. And from the best thing to do for children is to give them happy experiences, good education, and unconditional love. Of course, unconditional love doesn't mean pampering. There can be tough love also. Love sometimes has to be tough also. But the child can feel your love, unconditional love. Happy experiences means take your child out for a walk, play with the child. What's important for the child, you do that with your child. Like for many boys, they want their parents to hear about their sports activities, all those. They need encouragement in those activities. So if the parents also take it as theirs and they encourage the child to play sports and play with the child. For many daughters, girls, they want to be heard. They want to, speak. So if you can give those kind of association to your children, where you are giving time and not just quality time, quantity time is important, and you give them good experiences. And you take, I remember my parents, my father would take me out every Sunday for an ice cream there at Church Gate. We were growing up at Cuff Parade, so every Sunday he would take me. There was a shop there, and that experience, I remember even now. So happy experiences, good education, and unconditional love. So this helps the child have very nice memories. And then when he grows up, he becomes a good human being, and devotional service he will take up. And if you tell stories, best way to make children take up a spiritual life is flood them with stories. Children love stories and narrate the stories again and again and again. So when they grow up, they will naturally practice Krishna consciousness on their own volition. But present everything as much as possible through stories. Now, I am not a parent, so it's good if you ask devotees who are parents and who are practicing Krishna consciousness. Like we have Rasparayan Prabhu and Gopi Manjari Mataji right now here. I would like to request them to throw some light, and after this, we can end our class. So Rasparayan Prabhu and Gopi Manjari Mataji, you can answer this question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think you covered it very well. I am also honestly trying in terms of what you have been suggesting. So it is very, very important, and I can definitely say that compared to me, Gopi Manjari is doing a really good job as a parent, and she's spending a lot of time. And recently, we can share that they, as you rightly said about the sports, right? So I can see that they have a lot of things to talk about, this IPL and this the England tour that happened to India and so on, right? So if we do not listen to them, then where do they go, right? So I can see when Gopi Manjari now knows a lot of teams in IPL and knows a lot of things about different players and what do they do and so on. So I think that gives them the comfort. So that is very nice what you suggested, and at least we try to put in practice. So I can definitely relate that it really helps those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? I want to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to serve you today, and eagerly look forward to serving you again sometime. And I hope all of you stay connected to His Grace Rasparayan Prabhu and Gopi Manjari Mataji, who have a very nice team here of devotees like Rushank Prabhu, Mohit Prabhu, Rupali Mataji. They're all preaching and connecting people to Krishna consciousness. So please stay connected and please take up to Krishna consciousness very seriously. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.